For those of you who are in on my morning session, you'll just have to, glaze over as I do my brief bio introduction again, because, same story, different presentation, but there's some people on here who are new, so I have to give it to them too.
All right, and let's just get started. I will give a brief introduction because Julie absolutely tells her story way better. Julie is the founder of Freelance Exchange. She is an award-winning freelance advertising and marketing copywriter and proofreader. And she is going to be telling us about elevating our brand, finding work using social media, PR, networking, and more. So any questions that you have, absolutely feel free to ask them. Or you can just put them into the chat box and we will get to them at the end.
Great. Thanks so much, Victoria. Yeah, I'm probably not going to be watching the chat, so I'll have Victoria man that, but feel free to jump in anytime, you guys. This is totally casual, so feel free to jump in with any questions you might have. But today we're going to talk about elevating your brand, because really it's one thing to have a brand and it's another thing to take it to the next level, because, as we all want to get work, and the way to get work really is to be known. And so how do you make yourself more visible? How do you make yourself more memorable? Right? And we're going to talk about that today, because there are several things that you can do to make this process really easy on yourself. You don't have to spend a lot of money on advertising or marketing dollars. You can do it by way of PR and social media, networking, and a few other creative tips that I've got to share today for you. So, and no pressure with Andy joining us, the PR pro. So I might call on you for a couple of tips here. No pressure in advance.
I'm just here to learn. It's all good.
All good. Okay. All right, here we go. Okay, elevating your brand. Y'all are going to learn all about me, but if you want to reach out and connect, here's my contact information on all social media. It's at Casey Copy Diva. And then my website is juliecortez.com, and that's Cortez with an S at the end. Okay. All right, go on to the next screen. This is who I am. I am Julie Cortez. I am a freelance copywriter by day and freelance rock star by night. What that means is I have run my own copywriting business for over 22 years now, and worked with ad agencies, design shops, large corporations, small businesses. About 5 years into my career, I noticed that there was a void for freelancers, a void in education, community, and even respect. And so I made it my personal life mission, apparently, to set forth and rectify that. And in 2003, I started out by creating this club here, the Freelance Exchange of Kansas City, which has grown into something more than I would have ever dreamt of. But it's become this beautiful community of self-employed advertising and marketing individuals, those on the creative side, as well as those who aren't on the creative side, but still find themselves in a creative field. We offer, for those of you not familiar, we offer continuing education, social opportunities, promotional opportunities, community support, mentorship, you name it. And by default, we have become the go-to resource in town for area companies to find freelance talent for free. We offer that as a free service for them to find us really easily. So once I founded the Freelance Exchange of Kansas City, all of these opportunities started coming my way and threw me down this path that I never expected in a million years. But I started, doing all of these media interviews. I started doing all these speaking opportunities. And it was at one of the universities, local universities I was speaking at, when it just dawned on me. And I was like, I'm just giving a 1-hour presentation on freelancing, and that's great to give the students like an intro. I'm like, but I'm just scratching the surface here, and there's no way I'm going to be able to, go through everything. And why isn't this taught in schools? Right? I don't know about you guys, but I went to school to study my craft, to become a writer. Maybe you studied design, or maybe you studied photography, or what have you. But most of us in the industry didn't take business classes because they either weren't required or we didn't think we would ever need them. Right? And then there's so many of us, by choice or by default, who end up out on our own freelancing, and we know our craft, but we don't necessarily know how to run a business. And it was like, oh, I don't know how to run a business. And this needs to be taught in schools. So I randomly said that out loud at this university, and it's a long story, but I ended up at a different school, but I created my own course, Freelancing 101, and I'm now finishing my 4th year as an adjunct professor at the Kansas City Art Institute. I absolutely love it, getting into the classroom and teaching students the things that I wish somebody would have taught me when I first started out. So anyway, so that's kind of my story. You know, I love teaching. Now my professional peers come to me saying, Julie, I want to take your class. Great, you've got to enroll. Well, nobody wants to enroll and go back to school, right? So that's when I was like, oh, Cortez, light bulb moment, you know, why don't you offer those same lessons to your professional peers? And so I opened up a coaching arm to my practice, and then I got smart about the speaking as well and started charging for that. So, you know, be smart about things. Anyway, enough about me. We're going to talk about your brand. So let me ask you guys first off, and I'll stop sharing. Well, no, I'm going to keep it up. You're fine. Okay, let me ask you, who can answer the question, what is a brand? Anybody? What is a brand? You might have to unmute yourself. Nobody. Everybody's quiet today. Okay.
Tells everybody who's coming across you, who you are, what you offer, and
yeah. Very good. So a logo is not just your brand, your company name, your tagline. It's so much more than that. What I really like to equate it to is how people feel about you or your company when you're not in the room. Okay, that's what a brand is. So once you've got your brand established, and I know Cammie's giving a presentation, if she hasn't already, on branding, but once you've got your brand established, that's great. How do you use it? And it's not just a matter of putting your logo on everything. It's about taking it to the next level. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. How do you do that? To ensure that you are out there, so you're putting yourself forward and you are in front of your target audience, in front of the people who could potentially hire you as a freelancer, you know, whether it's for one project or a year round as their marketing resource. Okay, so you can obviously integrate your brand onto your business card, as well as you should, onto your website, but think even beyond that. Think about social media, which we'll get into here very quick soon. Your profiles, your posts, right? Think about if you still send out letters. You know, do you want letterhead? Do you want envelopes? Do you want thank you notes that are branded? Very possibly, right? What about your email? Right? Make sure your email address is branded with your website domain name. How about an email signature that has your logo, your contact information, maybe your tagline as well? Your voicemail message can be branded. A lot of people don't think about that. Branding is not just visual. Okay, it can also be in writing or even in the way you carry yourself. Maybe it's the colors that you wear or the colors in your hair, right? Or the color on your wall or the colors in your PowerPoint presentation. Branding is all around. Think about signage too, whether you have an actual office space or studio space, or maybe you're displaying at a trade show, portfolio showcase, anybody? The Freelance Exchange hosts that every fall. Think about that in your signage. What about some swag that you could have made up, like thumb drives or mugs or pins? Got my Freelance Exchange pin here, right? Or let's see, I've got my little cup that's branded with my own logo on it. I really want you guys to think outside the box. Now, I probably take branding to the umpteenth level. And I've been told, you know, that I go overboard with it. And that's fine, because you know what? People remember me. People know who I am. People know the logo. They know the colors. They remember me. So if it seems a little out there, let it be out there. I'm not afraid. I want to be bold. I want to be brave about this because I want people to remember me. All right. And I think it's funny too, like even many of my design counterparts have even said, you know, Julie, I'm supposed to be this brand expert or brand strategist and you do branding better than me. And I'm like, yeah, and I'm not a designer. So you too can get that way, right? Have people remember you for your brand. Even on my car, my license plate is branded. It says Copy Diva. I have a little frame that goes around it and it says Freelance Rockstar and it's got my logo, okay? think about what else you can do to get your brand out there to become memorable, right? Maybe it's even, like I mentioned, the colors, maybe it's the case on your laptop. Maybe it's your laptop bag. Maybe it's the color of your Padfolio, or, the little notebook that you carry around to client meetings. What can you do to integrate your brand into everything you do? All right, now those are just a few tips right there. I want you to be true to your brand, be authentic, but also be consistent across the board, all right, throughout everything. Now, we're going to jump into social media. And there's only so much that I can cover in today's small session. So just know there's plenty of other information out there, but I'm going to give you a general overview of what you can do with social media, because there's so many opportunities, both for free and inexpensively, if you purchase like some paid posts or whatever. The main platforms that I feel like you should be taking advantage of, if you aren't already, is, of course, number one is LinkedIn, because that is the business network. Okay, LinkedIn, Facebook, but not your own personal page. You need to have a company page, a business page that people can like and follow, dedicated to your business, that's separate from your personal life. Okay. If you want to be in a visual space, Instagram is very, very popular, very easy to search. It's a lot of fun. Okay, and then Twitter. Those are the top four that I feel have some legs. Now, depending on who you are and what you do, of course, there's a ton of other opportunities out there, and it seems like they're adding a social media platform by the day, right? We've got TikTok now, and Snapchat, and Pinterest, of course. Don't forget Pinterest, YouTube. There's so many things out there. Figure out what makes sense for you and your brand and go beyond those platforms. Now, when you get on these platforms, I'd rather you get on there and you use them to your advantage and use them well. If you're not going to be active on the platforms, I'd rather you not have a presence on it at all. But I do think it's important to at least be visible on at least two of them, I would say. So pick two and do them well. Okay. Now, when you get in there to set up your profile, obviously you're going to want to have a profile picture. And depending on who you are and who you ask, it may vary on what's better, having your own personal headshot as a picture or having your logo as a picture. Now, this is a company page, so I feel like you can go either direction. Some platforms are better than others. Like, for instance, when I first got on LinkedIn, I had my logo up there. Nobody else used their logo. Like, all right, I probably should change to a personal profile picture. Okay, that's fine. But I feel like on the other platforms, I can have my logo up there because other companies, if I'm presenting myself as a company, then I'm going to have my logo up there. However, here's a great opportunity, is that cover photo section. If you use your logo as a profile picture, why don't you put your headshot in your cover photo, or vice versa? So people start to associate you with your company name, your company brand, and your logo. All right, that cover photo has so much potential that I don't feel a lot of people take advantage of. Like, really be smart about it. Put some imagery in there that reflects your brand, put some additional contact information in there, or put your tagline or some sort of call to action. Be strategic about it. Don't just put up a picture of butterflies or whatever you might choose, okay? Use that to your advantage. Also be careful when you upload this, because cover photos on each of the platforms are different sizes. So hopefully if you're not a graphic designer, you have a graphic design friend who can help you size these appropriately if you don't know how to do so yourself, like me. Or you can use a free service like Canva, canva.com. You can use a free service like that where they have like pre-made templates that you can go in and customize, and they're already in the right sizes. So that's really handy to use. Okay, now on each of these platforms, there's spaces for you to fill out with words, right? Whether it's, they call it a bio or a profile or an about section or whatever the case may be, fill this out. I see so many freelancers who don't have anything up there, and I'm like, well, who are you and what do you do? Or where are you located? You know, give me some meat. Let me know who you are. Let me know what you do. Don't just say something. I see silly things all the time. Like, I don't know off the top of my head. I make pretty things for pretty people. What does that mean? I don't know what that means, you know? So tell me what that means. Now, remember too, that most of these profile sections have a limited character count. So figure out what that is in advance, because again, they're going to differ by platform. So write to that. Okay, use your descriptive words in that. On platforms such as LinkedIn and Facebook Business, there are a ton of opportunities to take advantage of the different sections that they have listed there. And I strongly recommend you get in there and fill out everything to the best way you can. LinkedIn even has sections where you can upload pictures, you can upload video, you can link to websites. It's really cool, you guys. They've really upped their game over the past few years. And remember, people are so visually stimulated. Don't give them just a long list of words to read. Nobody wants to read. I know, I'm a writer. Nobody wants to read. Okay, so put some visuals in there, break it up, put some portfolio samples, maybe put pictures of you and your clients. I don't know, maybe it's a website you design. Put something in there. Maybe you were interviewed when we get to like this PR section, right? Maybe you were interviewed and you can put that interview on your LinkedIn profile. Why not? Take advantage of all of the sections that they have to offer. And there are a lot, and I highly recommend it. Okay. Beyond that, I want to talk super quick about privacy, because I know a lot of people, not a lot, but some people have their business pages turned to private, and that's not doing them any good. Now, your personal page on Facebook, absolutely. If you want that private, I do, set that to private. But otherwise, I feel like your business pages should be public, whether that's Twitter or LinkedIn, especially, your Facebook business page, Instagram even. Why have a page and show your work if you're not going to make it public for other people to see you? You want to make it easy for people to find you and to learn about you and see your work. Well, let's talk about posting, because there's, 100 different ways to do social media. I'm going to share with you what's worked for me, what I see, the studies say work best, for best practices. And again, it's not a set it and forget it kind of deal. You really want to be active on social media. If I go to somebody's profile, like maybe I go to their Twitter page and they haven't been active since 2013, what kind of impression does that give me? And the same goes for your clients or your prospective clients who are coming to find you, right? You want to be fresh, you want to be relevant, all right? So you want to keep these updated at all times. And if you're not gonna update them, then just get rid of them, because it's not worth having, all right? Think about when you want to post. And again, this is gonna vary by platform. This is gonna vary by your audience. You can do a simple Google search and again, get 10 different opinions on when the best times to search are. But think about your target audience. Think about who they are and what they do and what times they might be active online. So generally, the rule of thumb is to post during lunch, anytime between 11 and 2, Monday through Friday. Because supposedly people go and take their lunch break, and that's when they're on social media. But surprisingly, you'll find a lot of people, especially on LinkedIn, who are active on Sunday evenings. Like, who knew, right? So figure out who your audience is, when they might be active, and cater to them. Now, you can check analytics. Like if you have a scheduling software that you use, they can show you the analytics. They can show you the best times to post. That's amazing. Take a look at those. And I think you'll be really surprised. Like maybe Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you might be posting like at 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. But on Tuesdays and Thursdays, you might be posting at 12 p.m. and 2 p.m. It totally varies. Okay, but these are really helpful resources. But the key is, to keep on top of this. These timelines are going to change. They pretty much change yearly, if not, sooner than that. So keep on top of that. Keep yourself fresh and updated with what the best times to post are. Okay.
So Julie, I've seen that I've seen that when scheduling Facebook posts before, where it says, Wednesday at 11 a.m. is your best time to post. Is the reason for that? If the post is brand new, it's going to get more traction if it's posted at 10:55. Regardless, our customers are going to see that post eventually. but it comes off much better in algorithms if it's brand new?
Well, that's just it. The algorithms are really tricky. And now that Facebook owns Instagram, it's even trickier. They're really particular about not necessarily when you post, but like if not a lot of people are engaging with your post, they won't move it up in the algorithm, unfortunately. But yeah, I think they just think people are going to be on their phones and they're going to be scrolling between the lunch hours. So yeah, there's probably a big difference between 10:55 and 11 o'clock. But I would also be careful, and I wouldn't push it out right at 11. A, because a lot of other people may be doing the same thing, but B, because it's just such a common time. Consider 11:03 instead, so somewhere so you can be different, or maybe it's a little bit later, so you can really stand out amongst everybody else. These scheduling tools, like I said, are really helpful, not only to help you schedule in advance, but to help you see the analytics and see the best times to post. There's a few that I recommend you might consider looking into. I personally use Viral Tag, VIRALTAG, Viral Tag. Hootsuite is another one, Buffer, and even I'm starting to hear good things about Later, Later, Later. I find it to be fabulous, especially for things like Twitter, for instance, where the content that I'm putting out is either promotional or I'm sharing articles of interest. That stuff I can set up in advance and again, send it and forget it. If somebody replies or retweets or whatever, I've got my notifications set, I can get to them right away. So that's really easy, but you can use scheduling tools for Facebook, for LinkedIn, for Instagram. Really, the opportunities are out there, and I highly recommend taking advantage of that if you want to stay consistent and on top of things and posting consistently. Okay, where am I? I lost my notes. All right. So one thing you want to do when you're doing your social media feed is to not just consider what you yourself are doing, but look around you and take a look at your competition. What are they doing? Do you like what they're doing on social media or do you not? And then aim to do better. Are they only posting once a week? Well, geez, that, studies are showing that you need to be posting at least once a day, Monday through Friday. All right, aim to do better than your competition, and that's going to help you stand out and be more memorable. And also keep in mind that not everybody is going to see every single one of your posts because of the algorithms, right? Depending on when they get online, if they get online, and what time they get online. They're probably not going to see every single post unless they go to your page. So you want to constantly be putting stuff out there so they're going to see something at some point in time, and you're going to be memorable. You're going to be top of mind. You could even have like your Twitter feed, for example, you can have that pull in and show up on your website. There are widgets that you can put on your website that will pull that in so you can have your latest Twitter posts on there. Why not? Or Instagram, even if you're in the visual space. It's a great opportunity to cross-promote across platforms there. Look into even sponsored ads or sponsored posts. They're not very expensive and they can really help with your traction. Facebook, for example, so I have a company page, and if I put out just an organic post, it doesn't, even though I have, I don't know, close to 1,000 followers, maybe, and it shows you like how many people have seen it, and it'll be like, oh, 33 people saw your post, and you're like, are you kidding me? I have 1,000 people. Well, Facebook does this on purpose because they need money and this is how they get you. So they want you to throw some money at your post so more people will see it. And it can be as cheap as $5. It really doesn't matter. But then all of a sudden, instead of 30 people seeing your post, now 800 people are seeing your post, depending on how much money you put in there.
I had a quick question. Hey, I was just wondering, or what I've heard, and I was going to see if you'd heard the same, was that typically about 3 to 4% of your audience is going to see any post on social media.
Yeah.
Is that about?
I haven't heard those specific statistics, but I'm not a social media guru either, so that doesn't really mean anything. But yeah, really, it's a small percentage. It's shocking and it's sad, so you kind of have to know these tricks to get around the system.
Absolutely. I've also heard for Facebook, and I don't know if it's still true, but that Thursday morning around 11 is considered an ideal time just because people are in a great mood. They're starting to plan their weekend. Have you heard that?
Yeah, Thursdays are good. Even like Tuesday afternoons could be good. You want to be careful, like Friday end of day, people are ready to check out, which it could go either way, right? Are people at work and they don't want to do their work, so they're messing around on social media, or are they trying to get everything done before they leave the office for the weekend? When, we could actually go, people went into the office, right? But yeah, I think it depends, and you're going to have different opinions. I would say try things out and see where you get the most traction. It also depends on your post and what you're posting. Maybe it's not really that popular of a post, right? Or maybe it's something super exciting.
You got to try to be interesting. Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Where am I? Okay. So take your social media handles and promote them, right? It's one thing to just have them, but promote them. Maybe you have them printed on your business card. Maybe they are in your email signature, and not just in your email signature, but they're linked to each of your profiles. Make sure they are on your website, the little icons, and link them to your social media profiles. There's no reason why you can't cross promote between different channels on that. When you start posting, you're going to start getting some notifications. And of course, the part of me is like, oh no, turn off social media and concentrate, and focus on your work, because that's the way you're going to get ahead. But the other part of me is like, well, you have to be responsive, right? So maybe, set a timer or an alarm or something, and you make sure that you check those notifications every 2 hours, because you want to be responsive. Maybe somebody has an urgent question, or maybe you get some negative Nelly on your page, who you really want to delete their comment, right? So you want to be responsive. And so check those often, respond to comments and messages in a timely manner. It's not just about having a profile, it's about connecting with others. And of course, when we first set up a profile on each of these platforms, our initial instinct is, oh, I got to connect with my family and friends. Well, that's great. Start there, but then go beyond that. Start connecting with people who make sense, companies who you want to work with. What about, and not just companies or potential clients, but even business partners and vendors, all right? Fellow freelancers who you could form a team with. We talked about how often to post. Remember that if you post too much, that the algorithm is going to push your stuff down and your stuff will be less likely to see. So I would say generally once a day on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Twitter, you can probably go up to 2 to 5 times a day on Twitter, just because stuff goes by so quickly. Okay. And then what do you post? Well, that's going to vary by platform, obviously, and depending if it's a visual space or not. Do they take video? Do they take pictures? Do they take GIFs? It totally depends. But even if you post, maybe you find a quote or something that's just text. Again, keep in mind that people are very visual, and they're more likely to stop and look at something and engage, which is what you want, is engagement, if there's a picture to go with it. Picture or video is really big, so keep that in mind. But you could put out articles, thought pieces, your opinion on something. You can ask a question. You can do a poll. You can post your latest work that you've done. Maybe you do a Throwback Thursday post. Hey, here's something I'm really proud of that I did 5 years ago, or whatever the case may be. Any updates or announcements, and also share other people's content, because when you share their content, they're more likely to share yours in return. Like, I scratch your back, you scratch mine. Okay, but be careful what you post. If you're trying to have a professional page and a professional image, be very careful about that. I see some people where they start to blend their personal and their professional lives, and all of a sudden you're seeing all this political stuff or religious stuff or stuff that really isn't appropriate in the business scene. So keep that in mind, because you don't want to put anybody off, right? And you want to protect your image while you're doing all of this. You don't want to post anything that might cause some controversy. Also, in the same vein, be very careful about what you like and comment on, because we can see most of that stuff. It's really surprising, so the people who like certain things on Instagram or Twitter, and I look at some of my male friends, this is just an example, and I'm like, oh, you naughty, like, do you realize I can see that? And now I have an impression of you. And do you really want your potential clients having a profession, that kind of image, or that, or for you to get that reputation? No, you don't. But don't be afraid to inject some sort of personal stuff in there. I think that's really important for others to help engage with you and to connect with you. So, for example, if you play tennis, put something up there about playing tennis. If you like a certain band and you went to see them at a rock concert, that's fine. Put it, as long as it's clean, and you're not drunk or being stupid, I think that's fine to share. People will relate with you on that level. Don't forget about hashtags. Things are very searchable. Use that to your advantage. And again, it's going to vary by platform. On Instagram, you can use up to 30 hashtags. On the other platforms, and now, LinkedIn has now integrated hashtags, which is great. But right now, from what I'm hearing, that the recommended number for LinkedIn, Facebook Business, and Twitter is 3, up to 3. Okay. But don't do any more. It's going to seem pretty spammy.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, sorry, I just wanted to ask real quick. I've always wondered with Instagram, what makes a good, especially Instagram, where I think hashtags are the most used and the most searched. What makes a good hashtag? How do you know? How specific or general do you get? Like I paint a lot, and so I would post something about the location, the type of painting, things like that. It's just such a shot in the dark.
It really is. And again, here's my disclaimers. I'm not a social media expert. What I have found is to make it as relevant as possible. So if you're doing paintings, do all the, painting, painter, painters, do the plural, do the location if that's what you're targeting. It is a shot in the dark. Again, play around with things and see what works. Think about too what you put in there to search when you're searching other things. Do you do hashtag painter? Do you do a hashtag painter live?
Oh,
right?
See, I never search. Okay.
Yeah, try it.
Okay.
Try it, and then look, because you can follow certain hashtags. Like I follow freelance life, right? And so that's going to come up. Anybody who hashtags freelance life, I'm going to see their posts in my feed.
Oh,
so think about that.
Do you have any thoughts about repeating content on different platforms? Like there's a lot that I will post on Instagram, and then I think it works just fine on Facebook too. Do you see that as an issue, or just something?
No, not necessarily. So I initially took your question as, can I repeat the same content that I already posted on that platform again? And to answer that question in my head anyway, is yes, as long as there's plenty of time in between. Now posting on the different platforms, rule of thumb is generally you don't want to put out the same piece on each platform at the same time. I'll be the first one to admit sometimes I just do that because I'm busy and just get it out, and hopefully somebody's going to see it somewhere. But yes, you can't, there's nothing wrong with posting on different platforms, but try and stagger your times, because I don't know about you guys, but when I go to look at my social media, I'm pretty much checking them all at the same time. What's on Facebook, what's on Twitter, what's on LinkedIn, I'm checking all my notifications, I'm scrolling through the feed all at the same time. So do I want to see the same thing all at the same time? No, not necessarily, right? So if you stagger your times, you're more likely to hit different people on the different platforms.
Hey, Julie, one thing I can add to that is and Scott, to answer that question, I also post on multiple platforms, but one thing I do is I switch up what that narrative is in the post. So as Julie was mentioning, as they're scanning their social media, yes, they might see, Scott, your post on Twitter, and they might see your post on Instagram, but if you mix up kind of how you've described that same, whether it be a picture or that same link to an article, that at least helps them mix up the content for your audience. So yes, they're seeing it twice, but perhaps they'll pause a bit longer because now they're reading something different, even though it's the same piece of content, because you've kind of mixed up that narrative. And then you can also switch up your hashtags you use to, again, kind of increase your audience as well. So that's just a little trick that I do so that it's not completely redundant to my audiences if they're seeing a different platform at the same time for me.
I just want to jump in. Kelly also has her hand up.
Yeah, we were talking about hashtags and when to use them and branding. One of the things that I've seen done pretty successfully is creating your own hashtag for your brand. So for example, using Julie here, if she's creating some kind of campaign where she's doing some pro bono, she could do something like Copy Diva Gives Back or Copy Diva Gives or something like that, where she's also promoting herself as well as her charity endeavors as well. So consider that when you're branding and using hashtags is creating your own. They can be done pretty successfully. Just a
great advice, all of you guys. I even use my own brand all the time, not in all of my posts, but I'll hashtag freelance rockstar, or if it's something I'm writing, and I'm sharing that, then I hashtag copy diva, because again, if for anything, I want to go back and search, hey, what did I do? And all I have to do is search that hashtag, and 99% of it is the stuff that I posted because that's unique to me and to my brand. Excellent. One other tip that I've got here on social media really is, don't forget about tagging. If you put something out like on your Facebook business page, maybe it's got your picture in it, tag your personal profile, because then it's going to show up on your personal page as well. And then you'll have hopefully more audience, right? Because not everybody on your personal page follows your business page. So then you'll have more eyes on it. On Instagram, you can tag people and pages there as well, and like nobody really sees it. So if you want somebody maybe to comment or like, or you want them to see it, you want them to reshare, think about that. And in your stories too. So if I am promoting a freelance exchange event coming up, or maybe I've got my own personal presentation coming up, I can tag the freelance exchange, and if they'd be so kind, I don't run the social media platform, but if they'd be so kind, all they have to do is, once it shows up on their end and they're, you see your story tags in your messenger, it says add to story. Well, boom, that's really easy. And then you can turn around and add that, and other people can add it. So, last but not least, I would just say engage. Again, social media is not just putting content out, it's listening to and interacting with people. So remember that. Don't just post, but take some time, whether it's 5-10 minutes a day, and go through each platform and be vocal on there, interact with people, like their comments, give feedback, give praise, whatever the case may be. It's all about a conversation. It's a two-way street there on social media. All right, I'm going to keep moving here because we could talk social media all day, and I know it's so much fun, but we don't have that much time. So I'm going to jump ahead.
Julie,
go for it.
One more question. Yes. Sorry, got in the chat. How big a deal is it to use your logo on visual images on social media?
That's an excellent question. I guess it depends on what you're doing. If you're putting out work that you created, I would think your logo almost serves as a watermark, right? So that shares that you've got that copyright on there. And if somebody were to reshare it, hopefully they're not going to crop off your logo. If you're doing a branded post, like I've been doing a lot of those, whether it's, hey, I've got a speaking engagement coming up, or hey, here's a freelance tip. Yes, my logo is on all of that, but not everything. I don't think you should have it on everything, because I think that's overkill. And you don't want, if somebody were to come to your page or just start looking, they're like, man, this person's all about self-promotion, and that's all that they do. So think about your content too, and not just having your logo. I see the chat bubble is flashing. Did I answer that question? Yes, no, maybe. Okay, I'm going to move on to PR. And Andy, our PR expert, feel free to chime in with your expertise here. But there's so many opportunities out there and things that you can do for little to no money. And you can put out things that are entertaining or educational, informational, just all content, online. You want to keep your fans updated with what's going on, whether it's through email, or maybe you've got a blog or your social media that we just talked about, and deepen the experience in these different avenues, just so people don't forget about you. All right. So first and foremost, there's this thing called a press release that you can write, or a media release, I think is the way the cool kids say it these days. I'm not really sure. Andy's kind of shaking me. I can see you. You're one of my 5. I can see.
It's interchangeable. But depends on who your boss is, basically.
Perfect. Okay. So press release, I think most people know that term. It's also considered a media release in some circles. And basically what this is just, it's a 1-page thing usually that talks about the who, what, where, when, why. It's an announcement of something big. And you don't necessarily want to send this out for just anything and everything, but something substantial. So for example, as freelancers, maybe you want an award that you want to celebrate and you want to get out there and let people know about this. Maybe you're asked to speak at a national conference. Maybe you just picked up this huge account, which is so awesome. Get that out there. So you type up a press release and you send it out to the media with the hope that they are going to pick up the story and put it into their news stories, right? I would say be very careful with this because not everybody can write a press release. So know your strengths and weaknesses. And if you don't know how, or you don't consider yourself a good writer, then hire somebody who is. Hire a PR professional, hire a writer, hire somebody who might have the connections with the media, who can help get you into those publications and those news outlets that you want to appear. All right. Don't forget too, you can also send things to like associations. Like I know the ad club here, AAF, they put stuff out there. Hopefully the Freelance Exchange will at some point. But we could even post it in our Freelance Exchange group, some big announcement that you have going on. Or you can send it to your college alumni, newsletter or association so they can put it out in the newsletter. That's, Andy, I saw you click on. Did you have something to add on that?
No, I was just writing down that the Freelance Exchange can share that kind of news as well, which is great. And I would just say that if your agency does win an award, as resource strapped as news organizations are right now, they likely won't run stories about companies winning awards, unfortunately. What they're looking for now, if you can still pitch the media now in the middle of this coronavirus, but you have to do a couple things. Number one, your story has to be uplifting and good news, because with all the natural, the sky is falling and the cases are going up type of news, they're looking for something to kind of cut through that negative news clutter. So if you have something that's positive, that's great. Number two, right now, if you still have something that's serving the greater good, so how are we making people's lives safer, better, or more enjoyable? That's also a story right now that can kind of cut through it. So as you're working with your clients, counsel them on that. That's how they can kind of get a news story, because they may say, oh, it's easy, call up NBC 41. I think this is great. But they're going to care about, okay, you might make the best widget possible, but how does my end viewer, the person sitting on the couch watching me in the studio, how's it going to make their lives better? Are they going to get something for free? Is it going to keep their kids safe? Is it going to help make their lives more convenient? So think of it in terms of that way. And then I think certainly, Julie, I agree with you. Within your association and your industry, that's when the award sharing can kind of come up. But from a regular news organization, at least in my experience, they've kind of typically gone away from that. Of course, unless you want to pay for an ad, which, as Julie mentioned, they'll always take your money. But beyond that, yeah, they got to keep the lights on and the refrigerator going. So beyond that, don't expect the awards to play, but expect something for the greater good to definitely be something that they'll always be willing to listen to.
Yeah, and to piggyback on what Andy just said, which is an excellent point, this is actually, in some cases, a better time to get media coverage than normally, because news press releases have just fallen off substantially. I was able to get 2 excellent pieces of local coverage through a press release I sent out in mid-March for a gallery show that I moved online and designated as a fundraiser for the local arts council. And because it was a fundraiser, that made it somewhat newsworthy, but I got much more coverage for the show than I would have normally, because a lot of people just aren't sending out pressers right now.
Yeah.
So it's a very good time if you have something that is newsworthy and can fit into what Andy was describing as some good news, or something that even just something that's just not COVID related necessarily. There's going to be more interest.
Yeah, and I think too, I mean, it's important to remember that we hopefully will not always be stuck in this crisis mode, right? And we will get back to some sense of normalcy, whatever that normal looks like. So think not just today and in the present time, but think in the future as well. You know, where can you send these things? What other things can you do? You know, for example, you know, can you even pitch the media with an idea to talk about a feel-good story? You know, I've been on like Better Kansas City, Andy, I know you've done some stuff with them as well, or whatever. I know there's another outlet in town, but think about the news studios. You know, can you get on and can you be interviewed for whatever it is that you have to share with the general public that people can benefit from, right? How is it going to help them? You can pitch these ideas. You can even pitch to podcasts, right? If you want to be an interview guest, absolutely, you can do that. There's a thing online called Help a Reporter Out. It's H-A-R-O, Haro, I guess is how you say it, Haro. Right? And they send out, you know, daily, if not twice daily, emails. All of these reporters are looking for people who can comment or give insight to a particular topic. Why don't you position yourself as the expert on that topic and get yourself featured in all of these different magazines and newspapers? Again, it's free PR for you to do. It just takes a little bit of time and effort. Okay, now we need to keep going here because I want to be cognizant of your time. So let's think of some other PR opportunities. Some things that I've jotted down include like sponsorships. You know, yeah, you might be shelling out a little bit of money, but gosh, think of all the pressure you're going to get from that. You know, people will see your logo and your company name. Maybe it will be linked from their website or emails to your website. That would be really cool. Maybe you can get your logo on some swag that they're putting into, you know, if it's a trade show or something or a conference, into a bag, right? You can put something in there for that. Think charity events, think professional events. Think about all of these opportunities that you can do to get your name out there, your company brand out there. Consider even client appreciation events. Maybe it's an anniversary party that you do, or a holiday party, or just a simple thank you party. You know, hosting a happy hour for your clients and your prospects, your vendors, and your fans, right? Send a press release out about this too. Like if you're celebrating, you know, your 20-year anniversary, send out a press release. Who knows if somebody's going to pick it up? Again, the worst thing that can happen is nobody picks it up, but at least you tried. And here's the other thing. If you throw a party like this, sure, you can share your press release online, I suppose, but you can share that same information on social media. And you can invite people on social media. You can create event pages on social media. Whether or not people come is one thing, but the key is that people are going to see it. They're going to see the invitation. They're going to see your promotions about it. They're still going to know about it. So here again is another opportunity that you can do for little or no money, okay, to get the word out there about your company. Okay, so networking is kind of one of those necessary evils when it comes to being a freelancer. You know, if you're not an extrovert, and I know many of us are not, I say us collectively because I definitely am, but it can be really scary, and it can be one of those things like, do I really have to do it? Well, yes, you do. But, you know, I have some tips that can help you be a little bit more confident about it and have it not seem that scary. It's just one of those things where it really helps you get out in front of people, again, with the hopes of gaining work, if not directly from that person, but maybe they can refer you to somebody who can get you work, right, or give you work. Think about the events that you go to, all right? And when you walk in the door, set a goal for yourself. Remember, it's not a numbers game. It's not about how many people you meet. It's about the quality of people you meet. So, for example, if you are an extrovert and you're going to a program or an event that's got maybe, I don't know, 40 people there, maybe you make it your goal to meet 5 quality leads while there. And if you're an introvert, you don't put that kind of pressure on yourself and it's only 3, okay? So think about that. It's not a numbers game. It's quality over quantity. And also remember, it's not just about business. This is about life. This is about helping one another out. Maybe somebody's new to town and needs a dentist. Well, you know, maybe they happen to ask you that question and you're able to offer a referral. They're going to remember that. You are now a valued, trusted resource to them. And who knows where that's going to help you out down the road. Remember, it takes 6 months to create a network. So if you haven't started networking already, it's time to get started because you want to network with people. You want to have that network built. People tend to want to work with people whom they know, like, and trust. You want to be in that. You want to be somebody who they know, like, and trust. And again, if they don't have work for you, maybe they would be the first one to refer you if an opportunity should arise. Think too about not just today, but about later on down the road. So I say that because some people are like, I am way too busy. I don't have time to network. Or for example, our Freelance Exchange Portfolio Showcase in the fall. I'm so busy. I don't have time to take 3 or 4 hours out of my day to exhibit at that. How can you not exhibit at that? That is your once a year opportunity to get in front of your exact target audience. So always be planning for the future. Always have that opportunity funnel open and bringing in the leads. If you don't have time, you've got to make time. Even if you're burning the midnight oil, make time for these networking opportunities. Even if you're super busy right now and there's a networking event coming up, you know, on Thursday evening or whatever, make time to go to it, and it will so help you out in the end. Because all of these projects, or a lot of these projects, can come in just simply because of who you know. So make sure people know who you are, right? Now, if you're going to ask me, Julie, where should I go networking? Well, that's a great answer, or a great question. And that's going to vary depending on the person whom I'm talking to. You know, what is it that you do? Who is your target audience? I would say figure out who your target audience is and go there, right? You know, are you targeting small businesses here in Kansas City? Well, then maybe you want to go to the Kansas City Chamber. The Greater Kansas City Chamber does a top 100 small business showcase in the spring. Well, when there's no virus going on, right? Go to things like that. Go target those people. You know, do your research ahead of time. Who all is going to be there? You know, look at their event guest list and research those people. Think about too, it's not necessarily for clients, looking for clients, but also looking for referral partners, looking for vendors, looking for people who you could potentially team up with on a project, or maybe create like a virtual agency. Reframe it in your mind too. If you're one of those people who are like, oh, this is work, it's so difficult, you know, try and reframe it. Oh, this is relaxing for me. This is a party for me. You know, whatever it takes to reframe it in your mind so it's less scary and less intimidating. And take a networking buddy with you if that makes it easier. You know, I, for one, am not I don't think I'm very good at the sales speak, but I see my buddy Matt Nichols here. You know, he is. He could sell anybody a used car. That guy is amazing, right? So maybe you take somebody with you. And you guys, you know, go to the different booths together, or you go to the different circles, networking circles together, and they can help strike up a conversation. Or if maybe you go to this top 100 showcase, oh my gosh, it's so many tables, so many booths to hit in just an hour. What do? Well, you and your buddy divide and conquer, and you split up the room. You meet halfway in the middle. Oh, Julie, I really think you should go meet this person. Oh, great, I think you should go meet this person. And it makes it so much easier, right? So think about that. So look into chambers of commerce if they're available in your town. Look into different networking groups and associations. Look into conferences and programs and meetups. There's so many different opportunities. Attend events, volunteer. I think this is so important. Personally, just because I feel like volunteering has made my career for me. I started volunteering in college and immediately jumped on the Ad2 board. Ad2 is the younger division of Ad Club, or AAF, here in town. And from there, it's just, I've been volunteering on a professional level in some capacity my entire professional career. And it's because of those connections that I've made that have really helped me get to where I am today. It's allowed me to have those resources. So think about that. Think about where you want to volunteer. Maybe you want to attend a bunch of events. Maybe you want to serve on a committee. Maybe you want to serve on a board. I know lots of opportunities with the Freelance Exchange if anybody is interested. And then, of course, even now that we're all stuck at home, think about how you can network virtually, right? There's still stuff going on. People are still hosting virtual coffee meetups and happy hours. There's lots of things that you can attend. Think about forums and groups that you can participate in conversations on Facebook or on LinkedIn. The networking doesn't have to stop just because you're stuck at home. Okay, remember that. Now, when you do go out into the world and you do start networking, I want you to have, and this is kind of cheesy, but you'll remember it. I want you to have what's called a networking toolkit. Okay, networking toolkit, like the quotes. In this toolkit, of course, you're going to bring your business cards, and you're going to have enough business cards on you to survive the entire event. Now, you don't need to bring 50 cards because, again, I want you to work on quality relationships as opposed to quantity, right? So don't plan to hand out 50 cards if you go to an event. Maybe you bring 10, okay? But have enough business cards to get you through the hour and a half or however long you're there. Second, in your networking toolkit, you want to have a decent handshake. I can't tell you how many times either a man will come up and squeeze my hand so hard it hurts, or maybe I'm squeezing or I'm shaking the hand of a lady who is, I don't know, like a dead fish, you know. Think about a good, firm handshake, not one that's going to hurt the other person, but something that shows that you mean business. And be cognizant of your handshake. I know this sounds so elementary, but I can't tell you how often I come across this. Be cognizant of your handshake, just a little 1, 2, and you're done, right? Don't sit there and shake the person's hand like 5 different times, all right? Just a couple times and be done there. Also, think about your name tag. Now, there's a super secret out there that I know a lot of people forget, and it is hard to do, especially if you're right-handed, but the trick is to wear your name tag on the right side of your jacket or your blouse or shirt, whatever you're wearing. It's on the right side because typically we shake hands. I'm trying to have you see me. We shake hands with our right hands. And so the eyes go up the arm immediately, and that's where you see. So if they're shaking your hand, they might have to look over arms to see what your name is. Think about your name tag, where it goes, and you guys, here's a great opportunity to brand. You don't have to use a name tag that they provide for you. You don't have to sit there and fill a blank name tag out with your Sharpie. Why don't you print out your own name tags at home? You can get Avery name tags at any office supply store. Put your logo on it. Put your company name on there. Put your brand on there. Or go out and get a name tag made. You know, a magnet one or a safety pin one, whatever you want, with your brand on it. Make it look professional. There's another, I'm on the wrong side. See that? Go this side. But make it branded. And again, people are more likely to remember you, okay? In your networking toolkit, don't forget to bring mints or gum. How often are we at coffee meetups or we go to some happy hour and there's some delicious garlic appetizers, and then all of a sudden we find ourselves talking to people in a conversation. You're like, oh, I don't want to breathe on them because my breath is horrible right now. Be prepared. Bring, you know, a little thing of Tic Tacs or Altoids with you and be prepared for that. Now, of course, you want to have your elevator speech ready to go. We talked about this in my morning presentation, but have that rehearsed to be able to tell people who you are, what you do, and for whom, how you help them, and how you are different from your competition. Excuse me, why they should hire you. Think about conversation starters. Think about what you can talk about. Maybe it's current trends, maybe it's sports. Again, I would be very careful about talking about anything sex, religion, or politics. I would say, you know, keep it very mainstay. But also remember your outlook on things. Have a positive outlook. You know, yeah, you may have had a bad day, but don't have it carry over into this networking opportunity that you have. If you don't know anybody, don't stand in the corner with your arms crossed. Can you see me? With your arms crossed, because body language has so much to do with how approachable you are. Okay, so you want to be able to look people in the eyes. You want to be able to smile, have a good handshake, not sit there like you're closed off. You want to be approachable. All right, let's keep that in mind. Also, in your networking toolkit, think too, again, it's not just about you getting the work, but maybe whom you can refer. So you can be that valuable resource partner. All right. Not everybody I meet, probably 95% of the people I meet aren't looking for copywriters. Okay, how else can I help this individual? Are they looking for a PR professional or a photographer? Well, great, I know a lot of those people. Let me help you out, right? How can you provide value to this individual that you're talking to? Be willing to follow up with the individual. If you ask for their card, do something with it. Don't just put it on your desk and have this pile like that starts building. Reach out to them on LinkedIn. Offer a note that says, hey, it was so great meeting you recently. You know, hey, I'd love to connect, or I'd love to follow up with you. I learned a trick recently about relationship marketing. If you guys aren't familiar with the term, you know, inviting people for coffee or lunch or drinks or whatever to kind of further strengthen the relationship. But the trick was, don't invite somebody for lunch because that sounds scary. Even if you're willing to pay for it, if you invite them for coffee and it's just for half an hour, say let's meet at 9. You know, I don't want to take up much of your time, but say let's meet from 9 to 9:30. It sounds less scary because it's not going to infringe on too much of their time, but more often than not, the person will stay past the half an hour. All right. So I thought that was a really good tip to share. So follow up on LinkedIn. Maybe you send them a note outside of LinkedIn. Maybe it's an email, maybe it's a personal note you send in the mail, or invite them for coffee. Because it's one thing to make a connection, it's another thing to strengthen that connection and not just let them go by the wayside. So here's the and more part. I know you all were wondering, what is and more? Well, again, there are plenty of opportunities out there for you guys to elevate your brand and get yourself out there, put yourself out there. Some creative promotional ideas that really don't cost a lot of money, or if at all, they could be free. So such as, we talked about the relationship marketing, the lunch, the coffee, the drinks, that doesn't cost a lot of money, but it gets you in front of the person whom you may want to have some sort of working relationship with. What about an informational interview? That way you can go into their office and just say, hey, I'm not looking for a job. I'm not trying to sell you on my services. I just want to know more about your company. And then in turn, you're going to be able to tell them more about your company and what you do and how you can benefit them. Right? It's called an informational interview. It's less scary than, hey, can I come in and pitch my services to you? It's a little bit different, okay? Think about doing public speaking, giving presentations, right? You can get out in front of your target audience. You can promote that you're doing these things. You can position yourself as an expert in your field, and you get more eyes on you and on your name and on your expertise. Think about writing blog posts, whether for yourself or for a very visible organization. Think about writing articles for magazines. Maybe even write your own book or your own ebook, you know, a smaller download that somebody can get from your website. Think about entering award shows and contests or showing your work at festivals or in galleries, depending on what it is that you do. Take advantage of those opportunities. If you win the awards, again, you can promote that, whether you send out a press release, you know, if the media is willing to post it or not, but you can put it out on social media, you can put it out in your email, you can post it as news on your website. Lots of opportunities there. What about donating a gift certificate of your services for a raffle? Why not? Maybe you donate an hour of your time, you know, yeah, I'll help with this, or, you know, I'll help do that. You know, and it doesn't cost really anything on your behalf, except for your time. Get referrals or testimonial and use them to your advantage. You can post them, or you can have them write the testimonial or a recommendation on LinkedIn. They can do it on your Facebook business page. They can just send it to you via email. And then you can put it out on other social media. You can put it out in your emails. What are people saying about you? What about a case study? You know, case studies are basically, you know, a written report of what was the challenge here and how did I solve it? All right, what was my client's problem and how did I solve it with my services? Write up a case study. It doesn't have to be super long or super in depth, but just give them a taste of who you are and what you do and how you can help solve other people's problems. What about getting pictures of you with your clients? Or are you with your vendors and posting that? People want to see your face, so remember that. You know, don't only just post your work on social media. Give them a little glimpse into your personal life as well and show them who you are. So if they happen to meet you out at a networking event, they're going to be able to put a face with the name and know who you are instantly. There are some really talented illustrators in town. More often than not, the two whom I'm thinking of, they only post their work on Instagram. And you know, you go to their page and yeah, it's beautiful. And it's all hashtag, oh, I'm not going to have a clue who they are. And then I'm going to feel like an idiot. Well, but they're doing themselves as a service by not showing their face every so often. So think about that. You could even collaborate with others, right? Think about the people in your network and who you can collaborate with. And then all of a sudden, as you guys are cross-promoting each other or whatever project it is that you worked on, well, gosh, now you just opened up your world to a whole new audience, to their clients and their friends and their fans, and the people who follow their pages, right? They're all going to be able to see your work as well. And that's a really cool thing. Last but not least, I can tell you again, volunteer. Get involved. Make yourself known throughout the community. Rub elbows with the movers and shakers in town, with the people who know people. This is how you can really, really build your business. Okay. Last but not least, the key to elevating your brand is really to be brave in everything that you do. Be smart about things, be strategic about things, put your best foot forward, and watch your freelance business really start seeing the opportunities come in. If there's anything I can do to help, please let me know. Thank you so much for having me on, you guys. Really appreciate it.
I'm going to add something in the chat for everyone. I took some notes for the takeaways and I will add them in.
Great.
And then
Thank you so much. Does anybody have any last minute questions? No? Hi, Shannon. Jen Span is in the house. What? This is awesome. Heather, hello. Oh, thanks, Mama. Mallory, good to see you. Thanks, Shelly. Oh, look at these takeaways. That's fantastic. Yay. All right, guys, if there's anything I can do to help, let me drop my website here again. Please feel free to reach out, send me a message, and if you want a checklist of anything that I went over, but it looks like Victoria did a great job here of capturing everything. All right, well, thank you all. Really appreciate you being here. I'm back on tomorrow, and Victoria put the chat early on, or in the chat, the schedule for tomorrow. We've got Matt Kasner at 11:30. I'm at 12:45. Byron at 2. Cami is closing it out at 3:15. So hope to see you guys there. If not, at the next Freelance Exchange online event.
Thank you very much.
Right,
appreciate
bye.
it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That was lovely, Julie. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Bye bye.
Take care.